For many, Call of Duty has been on a slippery slope when it comes to in-game transactions, or microtransactions. Since Advanced Warfare, we've seen the inclusion of RNG items that are completely random, and if you were to either earn them organically in-game or physically pay for them, you'd only have a slight chance of getting an item that you wanted. A chance, not a guarantee. So while some games' variations of them were worse than others, which my personal and strong belief is that Black Ops 3, rounding out the worst of what we've seen in the system so far, has amassed an astoundingly large pool of items spanning emblem items, weapon grips and other items, calling cards, individual camos that you have to earn individually per weapon, and even having new weapons locked behind supply drops, with a few thousand of those items in the supply drop pool and no way to distinguish which set of things you were going to end up getting, and only a handful of items actually worth it. Black Ops 3 was the epitome of a bad microtransaction business model, if you ask me. But my strong feelings aside, we have seen a little bit of a progression in that system of air quote rewarding the player ever so slightly, and I use the term reward loosely as you still have some things locked behind collections, RNG drop walls, and sometimes even in-game or physical currency. But Modern Warfare Remastered, Infinite Warfare, and Call of Duty World War II all have made strides in order to give us collections in which we can either get things chipping away at items or buy them with in-game currencies, such as in Call of Duty World War II Armory credits or Depot credits in Modern Warfare Remastered, and things like Infinite Warfare system rewarding season pass holders with the base variants of new weapons as soon as they come out, but also, for those that do not have them, the ability to unlock them via challenges that take a little bit of time grinding out. But by all means, while these introductions of collections and other means to organically get specific items of interest have gotten, dare I say, better, wouldn't it be fantastic if we didn't have any supply drops at all? Wouldn't it be fantastic if everything we wanted as an extracurricular item in-game was right there in front of us? What if I told you that actually, in some way, shape, or form, we already have that, and it might even be a hint towards what we see in the near future for the release of Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Now, it's ironic because to see this, we actually have to go back to Black Ops 3, which, in this introduction to this video, I just said was probably my least favorite Systems 4 new item release in Call of Duty since the introduction of this micro model. But as of recently, the support has been coming back a little bit for Black Ops 3 in that air quote year 3 of support, but we've seen other things like new weapons dropped, we've seen slight thematic changes to the game that they call air quote events, not necessarily on as such a grand scale as we saw in Modern Warfare Remastered and Infinite Warfare as well as in Call of Duty World War II now, but events nonetheless. And so on top of that, we've also seen other things like different change-ups and curveballs to different maps that are available for free. We've also seen that PlayStation only exclusive for pre-orders on the PlayStation Store, in which you ended up getting the Back in Black multiplayer maps, which again, I'm not a huge fan of how that was shaken up, but it was something that was added in post-launch in this year 3 of content. And so as of recently, as of just I believe a week ago or so, we actually did see a way to buy specialist outfits outright. Not in supply drops, not in collections, but specifically if you wanted to buy them, they were right there in front of you. Cosmetic items for your specialist, available for 300 and 600 COD points, depending on what you wanted to do for it. 300 COD points got you a contract in which all you had to do was win 15 games, and you would unlock that specific specialist outfit that you use the contract for. But then also, if you didn't want to use a contract, you wanted to bypass that entire, say, 2-3 hours that it would take you to win 15 games, all you had to do was pay 600 COD points and you would get it immediately. You would have it immediately in your armory of specialist customization items that you could put on right then and there. So why is this anything that we should take a look at? Why is this anything that we should even care about? Well, of course it does add some new items into Black Ops 3, which isn't the main purpose of this video, but it is something that this might be a hint towards what we see in Black Ops 4. And I say that simply because we've seen a progression in the Call of Duty system of microtransactions from Advanced Warfare, where we had supply drops that you get organically out of playtime, or you could end up buying them with COD points, which was, again, the introduction of a microcurrency via real currency that you could opt into with real-life money. We saw that, then we saw Black Ops 3 again go to that, what I truthfully believe is the worst supply drop system we've seen so far. Then we've seen the introduction of Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, giving players the ability to get base weapons for season pass holders, and then also in Modern Warfare Remastered, the collection system, which allows you to have just as many things as, say, Black Ops 3 in terms of loot items, but you also had different supply drops that would chip away at different collections so that you had some sort of idea of what you'd be getting. And so therefore you could also collectively buy individual items outright with your salvage, and so therefore you had more selection and of course the ability to get things that you actually wanted in-game. And then Call of Duty World War II kind of takes a little bit of both of those stances, in which you can end up still seeing the collections push forward, and I would not believe that those would go away at any point in time during Black Ops 4. I thoroughly believe that system will be returning after the introduction of it twice in a row in 2 years into titles that we've seen one after another. But where this now can become a point of interest and why this might even be a system we see moving forward, just buying things outright and returning back to that sort of business model that we saw before Advanced Warfare, I think honestly Ghost had one of the best models for this, in which you could buy everything specifically. You had camo packs, you had customization packs, you even had some weapons available for purchase, and I believe that was the Ripper as well as the Maverick A1 and A2, if I'm not mistaken, in which you could buy those outright once again. Even Advanced Warfare had some of this stuff where you could buy this in different camos, and even the Ohm was a weapon that was available for purchase separately. But one thing that makes me think that this might be something that Activision is testing out via Black Ops 3, and potentially why this might make it into Black Ops 4, is that there's a lot of different things going on in the gaming industry that really might strong arm the push of loot boxes and supply drops away from what we see as a primary way of getting items in game. One big thing is that as of recently, some locations in the world, and I think Hawaii was one of them here in the States, they actually deemed loot boxes to be illegal as a form of gambling. Something that honestly, whenever you look at it, it makes sense, because you pay in for something, but you have absolutely no guarantee of what you are going to end up getting. And so therefore, that sort of thing might actually cause some territorial issues in terms of making sales or even selling the game in general. Because if some country or region wants to say these are illegal, this one specific portion, that might even make it so the game itself can't even be sold in that area. So that might cause some specific problems, and therefore, if you end up having items that are downright right in front of you and you can buy for maybe even in-game currency, it would be a little loophole around that and a little way to still generate in-game revenue, but not be classified as gambling. And even outside of the legal precedent here for this, it's something that the gaming industry itself is shifting away from loot boxes, with one major player in particular really pushing this kind of stuff out there. And I know that a lot of people don't necessarily like me talking about this game here up on this channel, to which I do apologize, but you have to admit the business model in which for micro DLC specifically, it works out tremendously, and of course the amount of sales they make is proof enough of that. But Fortnite and other industry standards are pressing for change in the sense that they're giving people cosmetic items outright right in front of them. They know exactly what they're going to get, but they end up pricing it a little bit steeper, and therefore it may compensate for what would be that RNG chance out of a loot box, but still will generate enough revenue and enough interest that people will buy into it. Now, I know the biggest argument here with this is that Fortnite is free to play. Call of Duty still costs at base $60, and while that might change in the near future, depending on if the entire industry will change as well, who knows, but it still doesn't dismiss the fact that there's a massive initial price gap there with that. So would it work as well within a Call of Duty title that already requires players to buy into it? I'm not entirely sure, but it is something that the proof is in the pudding with these sort of situations of micro DLC being given right up front and for a slight premium. I think that honestly Call of Duty could get away with an awesome skin or an awesome camo that is 100% awesome, maybe even a limited time. I don't think you'd necessarily need to charge $20 per a skin or a weapon or a camo, but it would be something that even say for $4 to $5, people would definitely buy into it, because that is probably double that of what it works out to be for a supply drop or two to end up getting a chance out of it. But if you're guaranteed it, I guarantee that if you rotate out camos on a daily basis in a marketplace like that, you generate so many more sales than even that of what supply drops give you. Now don't get me wrong, this I think only needs to apply to cosmetic stuff and maybe DLC weapons in terms of variants or something like that. I personally still would love to see, say, season pass holders get those for free, or a way to get them organically, but have this paid option be a way to bypass, like we see with Black Ops 3 system with those specialist contract and outfits. Whereas say if a new weapon or a new camo drops, you can earn it organically either by in-game currency with collections. You can activate a contract for it that will require you to get 15 wins or so, but if you want to bypass all of that, pay a little bit outright in a marketplace environment where you can just get exactly what you want. So replace that sort of model of supply drops being something you can buy with COD points and add in place of it a marketplace for it where everything is right there up front and you know what you're getting, but also keep those other ways to earn things organically. I think that that is honestly the big thing that needs to happen here with that, in the sense that you don't shift everything over to this marketplace idea, but instead you kind of bring them to a balance where it is equally available right there in front of you and you know exactly what you're going to get, but also if you don't want to put in actual money, you don't have to by any means. It's available right there as well for a little bit of organic grinding. I know that personally I have gotten everything in World War II out of organic use, so it's something that does work, and so that continued system would actually still work out perfectly, I think, but also add in potentially that idea of what we see with Black Ops 3 and other games like Fortnite, where exactly what you want is right there in front of you. So therefore, I think that right now Black Ops 3 might actually be testing the water out a little bit with this, and Activision might be seeing how this works out and if it is something that people take part in. Now, of course, I don't know if specialist outfits are exactly what is the best way to do it. It might not generate as much interest as, say, if you put that newest M14 and the Dragoon in there as a paid-for contract or paid-for outright DLC weapon you can actually buy, but it is something that I guess is a step in the right direction and may very well be foreshadowing as what we see within Black Ops 4's launch. Now, as we know, there are going to be COD points still. That is a part of the pre-promotion and the bonuses for the different version, but with the Black Ops Pass and everything else shaking up how players will get content overall, who's to say that we don't see the removal of supply drops, or maybe it is still just wishful thinking. But regardless, I'd love to get your take on this here. What do you guys think of this? Do you think that if we end up shifting away from supply drops and instead just go to a look at this, I'm gonna buy this outright type of system, coupled with the current system we have in place of collections and other ways to organically get items, do you think that'd be okay? Would you guys be cool with that, or do you think that we still need to go completely in a different direction, or whatever it may be? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully we can have some things to look out for, but if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding Call of Duty World War II here up on the channel. And if you guys are interested in anything regarding Call of Duty World War II, Black Ops 4, updates, news, information, all that good stuff, we got you covered here up on the channel. So if any of that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Instagram as well, get a little more active over there, so that link is also in the description below if you guys want to check that out. But all that said and out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you all so much for watching. My name has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.